First of all, I have to apologize for not keeping the promise to come last time. Something unexpected happened at that time. Abruptly, the faculty meeting was held at that time, so I couldn't come. But today, I tried my best to keep my promise, so I came here 30 minutes earlier than I promised time. So I hope that would compensate a little bit. And I heard about the gathering and this meeting some time ago, and I felt that this meeting is really, really important gathering. And not in terms of the just koinonia, but for the furthering the gospel through knowing each other here. That would be really strategically very important, because once you get back to your own country, it's hard to meet again. But during your stay here, you could get together and talk together and share together the vision and the strategy and philosophy of your ministry and so forth. Then you can enrich yourself. So this meeting is really an important meeting. And Dr. Han, even though he's small, but he has a very big vision. And God has blessed his vision. And I heard that in the beginning it was very insignificant gathering, but God has blessed his vision, enlarged his vision, and even though it's very go back to their own country, respective country, and they may teach also their own next generation. That way, gospel can be carried out most effectively. Last week, I went to China to teach about 25 to 30 people. They are the pastors in China, and they gather from all parts of China. And to my surprise, one pastor held his ministry 10,000 members. So huge. So I asked him how he can hold so many people, but he said through his assistance he can carry out that huge ministry. And that way, one man is affecting so many people. So to teach leaders is very strategy-wise, very important thing. And Dr. Han shares that vision, and that is very important thing. Acts has the same philosophy of the teaching the future leaders of the countries from Asia. And when I was in Korea in 1972, at that time I was teaching at the Chongsin Seminary as a professor. At that time, I happened to live in Sangdo-dong. Do you know where Sangdo-dong is? Sangdo-dong is where Kim Il-sung, former President Kim Il-sung stays. It's more, that way you could locate more easily. Do you know where the Sangdo-dong is still? You don't know. Do you know where Chongsin University is? Yeah, nearby. Well, there I lived, and then this morning we don't have any time limitation much, right? I don't take more than 2 hours, but
그래서 이렇게 형편대로 하십시오.
1 hour and a half?
예.
Okay.
1 hour.
Okay. At,
그 내려간가?
at that time,
한국교회 성장 요인에 대해서 말씀하시긴 했거든요. 그러니까 그걸 생각하시면
at that time, the former organization of the ATA, Asia Theological Association. So as a General Secretary, I was given assignment to visit many Asiatic countries and find out the institutional situations in each countries like Philippines and Malaysia and Myanmar and Thailand and Indonesia and so forth. And at that time I found out that the reason, one of the main reasons why those evangelical churches in those areas are not growing strong and is not exerting influence strongly to the society is that they are lacking effective leaders. The why they are lacking effective leaders? Because those seminaries were rather Bible college level, and most of those Bible colleges was headed by the Western missionaries. The Western missionaries were the presidents and holding all the powers, even though they teach their students, yet they don't try to train them abroad and for further studies, graduate studies, so that when they come back, they may teach their own students. The why they don't do it? Because they are afraid of losing their positions as a presidents. So they want to see their students stay academically lower level than they are. I found that out. So I felt that and at that time, if the missionaries are not helping them financially in terms of scholarship or in terms of the travel assistance, expense assistance, then they cannot go. So I felt that, well, if they cannot go to the States for further degrees, they may come to Korea where the graduate level theological studies are offered. So I talked to my colleague, the Dr. Eui-whan, who for a long time has been a president of the ACTS, and he happened to live nearby my home, and I invited him to my home, and I asked him, why don't we start ACTS, to teach future evangelical church leaders from Asia? And so we don't have money then. Well, if this vision is given from God, He will be responsible to provide all the means. So let's pray for this vision. If God confirms this vision, then things will develop beyond our expectation. So from my living room, we prayed together. Then from this humble start, ACTS came into being. And the key leaders, key professors of different evangelical seminaries joined together. And then that's how ACTS started. But at that time, I was very much in trouble because of some misunderstanding. I belong to the Hapdong group, which is very, very conservative. I say very, very conservative. And they said, well, Dr. Kim, why you are embracing some Armenian scholars from Holiness group, Songyolgo group, and why do you embrace someone like Eui-whan, even though he himself is very evangelical and orthodox, yet he belongs to the church where the ICC, the World Council of Churches has a membership. So how church leaders asked me to leave that group and discard all the plan to establish the acts. So I was questioned by the General Assembly several times. So I promised them I'll leave from this ACTS program and I will solely dedicate myself to teaching the Chongshin. That way, eventually, I was forced to exile to America. and then Dr. Han carried out this vision of the ACTS, and now the ACTS became very big theological institution which can train the future leaders from Asian countries. That's why the name Asia Theological Asian Center for Theological Studies, ACTS came in. A name was made. Well, then 1975, not only this problem within our denomination for the broader the context, they called me neo-evangelical, and not only this, the matter became the matter of accusation, but there was another reason. At that time, I happened to speak against the military regime, Park Chung-hee's, the dictatorial regime, because I thought that they want to stay in a power for good. So I said this kind of the military dictatorial regime should terminate their rule, and democracy should be introduced again. And then, because of this position, I was taken to CIA, and I was questioned. And because of this kind of problems, I was forced to leave the country. And then I went back to States after 9 years of teaching here. Then there I studied the International Theological Seminary, which is a ACTS version in America. So this year we'll celebrate the 20th year of the ITS, and there we could draw so many students from not only Asia but from many continents. And each year we have about 100 students from 20 to 25 countries. And the ACTS ministry and the ITS ministry in the States are quite identical. Have you ever heard of ITS in the States? You heard? Yeah. And knowing that the students from third countries are not so financially not so well-to-do, I set the policy that the old ITS students should be given a full scholarship without knowing where the money will come from. But to set the policy that way, and we started to bring them to the States, and no one so far, for 20 years, no one ever starved because of lack of the funds. So God has provided so much money to support the ITS. And the same way, the ACTS is running. The many churches are supporting ACTS to support the foreign students. So much for my own personal history. I was given a subject to give a brief lecture on how Korean church is growing so fast, so far. Now we are encountering some kind of stagnancy in church growth, but yet during the last 2 or 3 decades, Korean church witnessed such a tremendous, phenomenal church growth. During my stay I stayed in the States for USA for 20 years, since 1975, and I came back again in 1995 because I was called to be a president of the Chongsin University. But during this 20 years period, Korean church experienced just a boost. It's such a phenomenal growth. And each year I came to Korea to give a special lecture, but each time I came to Korea, I myself was surprised. How come so many people are gathering to the church? And then I began to ask why this kind of church growth phenomena happens. So I myself try to find out the reasons. So I would like to give you my version of understanding why Korean church has grown so fast, and now why Korean church is so stagnant and is not experiencing the church growth again. To explain this Korean church growth situation, I'd like to give a reasons from two aspects. First, external aspect. To speak the church growth, we must presuppose, first of all, that church growth is not through the human effort alone. It's God's grace. It's God's special visitation of with His blessing. And as you know, Korean church is little over 100 years old, young church. First official missionaries from the States landed Korea in 1885 on Easter Day. So it's a little over 1 century. Korean church has been working for the church growth. Yet, during 1955 through, say, 85, this 30 years period is the special period for the Korean church to enjoy this rapid church growth. And to speak about the external reasons why Korean church has been prospering so much was, first of all, Korean people didn't have their own religion, national religion as such. The Indians have Hindu religion, and the Thai people or Sri Lankans have Buddhism as their own religion. And then Indonesians have mostly the Islam as their own religion. And the Japanese people, Shinto as their own religion. So, not like these countries, Korea does not have its own national religion as such. Of course, we had Buddhism and Confucianism and so forth, but Buddhism was accepted as a national religion during Korea dynasty for 500 years. From 11th century to 15th century. But during Lee dynasty, the last dynasty, which lasted 500 years after Korea dynasty, up till the occupation of the Japanese government, until the dawn of the 20th century, this Lee dynasty rejected Buddhism and embraced the Confucianism as a national religion. But Around the end of the 19th century, Korean people were fed up with the so much ritualistic, meaningless, powerless religion of Confucianism. So people were beginning to move away from Confucianism. And they're looking for some other religion in the religious vacuum. So when Christianity was introduced, there is no any national religion to combat against the incoming Christianity, and that was a big help. And also the Korean has a very long inherited concept of God, which is one God, 하나님. Not like Japan, which has so many gods, 8 million gods. They don't know names. They don't know names of those gods. But Korean people have a name of God, inherited name, 하나님. You know what 하나님 means? One. 하나 means one, right? 님 means Mr. Reverend Mr. One, who is sitting in heaven, right? And that helps a lot. We don't have to explain who the God of Christianity is. It's just 하나님, the one who is in the heaven, who rules the world. Yeah, and that helped. That facilitated for the Korean people to accommodate the Christian concept of God easily. Then, secondly, when first missionaries came to Korea, they were welcomed by Korean people in so many ways. They introduced hospitals to cure for the poor patients, and they established schools. In the first place, they gave free educations. And also those missionaries were shall I say, pure missionaries, not linked with the political maneuvering behind them. In India, in Africa, situation is different. Missionaries are so often misunderstood, or in some cases, really, they were an agency of imperialism, Western imperialism. And when World War II was ended, when the Western power was removed from the colonial countries, the missionaries were also asked to live together like that, because they were to the people who have been suffering by these Western occupiers. To them, the missionaries and those imperialists are almost identical. But in Korea, the missionaries were welcomed as a hero to secure from bondage of Japanese occupation. And that way, missionaries had a good advantage in reaching the people. And also, the royal families were being benefited by those medical missionaries, so they were welcomed by the king and the royal families. And this royal support helped to facilitate Christianity so much. And the king provided the land for the missionaries to build the schools and hospitals. The Yonsei is like that. Yonsei University Hospital is like that. And thirdly, the Christian institution established by missionaries provided a future leaders of the Korea. You know, Seungnan Lee, first president of Seungnan Lee, the Republic of Korea, the Dr. Seungnan Lee, who is the Princeton PhD holders, and he is a product of mission school, the Paje school, and so forth. And also the first university president of the Eui-whan, and also many key leaders of this country were products of Christian schools. And that way, even now, those who are in the position of influence or opinion leaders, proportionately, the much higher percentage than the Christian population in this country. For instance, each time the new congressman was elected, almost every time, almost half of the congressmen are Christians, and also the ministers in the government like that. And that way, the people in a position of influence or easily become a Christian or very familiar with the Gospels. Well, this morning before I came here, I was invited to the city mayor for breakfast, and we had a breakfast together. And he asked, several ministers, "How can I run the city? You tell us how." Then one minister, Kim Sam-han, who is the pastor of the big church, said, "You should pray first every day, like Daniel. Then he will give you a wisdom like that." That kind of spiritual encouragement or advice was given to the new mayor. And this way, the government in a high position, either Christians or potential Christians, or they are very much in a closer contact with the church leaders. And this helps a lot, to facilitate a Christian expansion in Korea. Now, thirdly, is it point thirdly? Fourthly, yeah. Fourthly, emancipation of the woman. Before the introduction of Christianity, the woman was almost considered as a possession. I'm speaking of my own experience. The trend is like that. It's good trend because they must have their own turn to enjoy their power. But you see, most of us are men. We are not rendering our power to them because we are weak, but because we are stronger. We just give them a power that so that they may think that they are more powerful than men. We are, right? Anyway, this is a good phenomenon. Those who are laughing loud are knowing this, some secrets about their by experience, yes, at least. And, but when church was established in the village, the woman was allowed to come to church, because after women become a Christian, they are more devoted to the husband and more obedient to the husband and more eager to teach their children and so forth. So husbands are willing to send their wives to the church, because that way at least they can secure their wives a fidelity. And even now, when you visit the church in Korea, there are more female than male, right? Yes, yes. And we have 여전도회, 남전도회, you know, women's the organization and the men's organization for the mission. And even though men earn the money and bring the more money to home, yet the donations, much more donations are given by the women group. And that means, you know, if one holds the purse string, then he has the more power, right? Or she has the more power. And the women's emancipation helped a lot to reach the downtrodden people, not only women, but there was a very strong division between the have and not have, and high class and low class. And not like in India, you know, like a caste system, but in Korea, 쌍놈 or 양반. 양반 is upper class. But the 쌍놈 is the one who cannot have a government office, or who cannot marry to the 양반, like that. So there was a clear-cut division in society. But in church, there's no 쌍놈. Everybody is treated equal. And particularly those who were working for butchery, you know, killing the cows like that. The butchers are regarded as subhuman. And we, in Korean language, we have an honorific way of expressing the one who we are respecting, but there is a common way of speaking, right? There are many ways. 그렇습니까? 그랬나? 그래야지. You, for you, in English, you is you, right? Everybody. Even father is you, and even son is you. But in Korea, you, 여보, 당신, 그대, 너. You cannot say to your father, no. Then you will be cast out. Anyway. And when I grow up, I could treat those butchers. I could treat him like a servant, even though I meet him first. I am supposed to use the language which is applicable to the servants, like that. And Sungdong Church is Insadong, nearby Insadong, which is the first church in Korea, one of the first church in Korea established by the missionaries. That church was a church made up with the 쌍놈 and also butchers. So 양반 didn't attend there. Now the former 총리, the former prime minister is now attending that church, and now that kind of segregation is abolished completely. And that way, the Korean church was able to draw the common people, and downtrodden people. Then, next point, fifth is usage of Hangul. Before then, Hangul was treated as Emun, which means the language which can be used by the 쌍놈. the lower class people. But Hangul is very easy for us to learn, right? Hanmun, Chinese character, for some of you, is like drawing a picture, you know. It's so hard to memorize them all. So common people cannot read Chinese character. I learned 2,000 characters when I was 6 years old. And to memorize them, always, you know, the teacher forced us to memorize, you know, giving assignments. Otherwise, you know, they chastised me so much. And so only the Yangban learned the Hanmun, Chinese characters. But Sangnam couldn't understand the Hanmun. But Sejongdaewang, do you know who Sejongdaewang is? I show you who the Sejongdaewang is. This gentleman is Sejongdaewang. You see, Sejongdaewang is very much respected by common people, and also very liked by poor people because it's a manwan. He invented Hangul. Very easy to learn. You see, the ITS president the other day came to Korea. Dr. Tong is a China-born American, and he said, "Oh, it's very inconvenient. There's no English sign, you know, only Hangul." And I told him, "Well, Hangul is very easy. I can teach you Hangul, how to read. Then you can, within 2 hours, you can read." So I taught him alphabet of Hangul. And next day, he could read, and you know, with the taxis, he go everywhere. So easy. You have already experienced that, right? So Hangul is so easy, scientific language, invented by Sejongdaewang with his aides. So this Hangul is used in a church. And that way, every poor people can understand and read God's word. And that's why the Korean church is now having distributing the Bible to every church members, and they're asked to carry the Bible. In the States, the Bible is in the church pew. They don't come with the Bible. But to the Korean people, they're asked to bring and carry the Bible. And all the time they read in the home and in the church like that. And that, the reason why is Hangul is so easy. So easy. And during your stay here, I wish that you could master Hangul and the Korean more fluently than the Korean people do. Well, so far, I enumerated some of the external aspects of the reasons why Korean church grew so fast. Can you add some more? Can you add some more else, through the observation?
I have one thing.
No, what is it?
As you told us, the Lee dynasty, the last dynasty, was invaded by Japanese colonies. So the imperialism is thought that it came from Japan like that, but when the Underwood and the two guys from the USA missionary came to Korea, the Christianity and the imperialism
has nothing to do. Yeah.
So, like in my country, we received British Empire in Myanmar, Burma. So they also brought Christianity. So in our thinking, oh, Christianity is imperialism like that. But the colonies and the gospel bringers, they are different, different nationality, so they can accept easily outside.
But didn't I mention that early? Yeah, I already, yeah. When the Korean church has started, missionaries had the advantage of not being identified with the Western imperialism. Yes, that's a big, that's a good point, but I already mentioned it. The Korean church started without any political implications, and that helped a lot.
Can you explain how because when they were missionaries, they are not American, they are not Korean missionaries, but they are missionaries from outside.
Mm-hmm.
So I think implication says that they are from other countries, so they must be bringing something political.
No, they came to Korea purely with the religious motivation, without any political motivation. They came here to preach the gospel. They are not sent by the government. They are sent by the mission society with their own money, donated by the church. So Korean people, if they are backed by some political powers, they wouldn't welcome them. But since they came here purely as missionaries, and also when during Japanese occupation, when Japanese persecuted Korean church or Korean people, they are the one who hid the leaders of this country and tried to help the escape from the country like that. And you have ever heard of 3.1 운동? 3.1 운동. It's 3.1 운동 is a March 1st movement, literally. On that 1910, in the year of 1910, March 1st, the Korean leaders, 33 the leaders representing from various groups, Christianity and Buddhism and Confucianism and so forth, they gathered in Takol Park. Do you know where Takol Park is? It is Jongno-iga and Samga. You must visit there. That's a historical site. Now there are only old peoples, but the Takol Parks, even though it's very small, but historically it has very meaningful historical ramification. So you go there and take a picture in front of the who is the Sonbyung-hee. There's a statue of the Sonbyung-hee who is representing the 33 key leaders. And there the religious, the 3.1 운동 movement broke out. That's the place. And that movement spread all over the peninsula. And on that day on, for several years, many Korean leaders, people of influence, were taken to the prison and tortured to death and so forth. And some churches, church like where the Jeam Church, you must visit there once. Jeamni Church. The Japanese police asked all the village people to gather in the church, Jeamni Church, and they tried to explain their political situation and so forth. But in the meantime, the police and the military surrounded that building and set the fire and killed them all, like that. And like that. So the 3.1 movement, it's a national holiday now. And during these days, the missionaries were the instrument of telling to the abroad, to the outside, that Japanese are persecuting Koreans and Korean church leaders and Korean Christian church leaders and so forth. So people respected the missionaries because missionaries were helping them for the cause of Korean independence. So instead of hurting Korean people with the imperialists, they were fighting against the imperialists. And that way, Korea, in a peculiar situation, was enjoying this kind of missionaries' favor for the patriots. Okay. Uh-huh. 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 Right.
Until today, America is still there, holding on to the office.
Where?
In the Philippines.
Uh-huh. But not in Korea. How long? You asked me how long. Well, for instance, only I would like limit to the Chongshin University, which I stayed for long. Chongshin University, Chongshin Seminary started as a Pyongyang Seminary. And when Pyongyang Seminary was established, all the missionaries started seminary. But they sent some of the key leaders to the States, and they came back like Park Hyung-yong and Nam Kung-wook, and the Korean professors were beginning to replace them. And when they went out on follow, then those who were trained in the States came back with the degrees and filled their filled vacancy. That way, gradually, all the missionaries were faded out. And after the World War II, 90% of the teachers were the Koreans in the Chongshin Seminary. Of course, but Korean church from the beginning started to emphasize the tithing, and this self-support spirit was pervading all over the country. So that way, even though at the transition period there are some financial difficulties, of course I accept that, but eventually it got over. For instance, when I was a professor at the Chongshin Seminary in 1960s, that means I'm very old man. Okay, let's have lunch together, yeah? Well, at the time, one time, I couldn't get the 3 months pay. 3 months pay. And for that I remember with a big appreciation for my wife. Without 3 months income, yet she somehow managed for me not to starve to death. Yeah, but that was just one period, in a transition period. Now, it's really prospering. Did I answer you right? Okay.
But how were you able to encourage your people really to give? That's one of the problems that we encounter.
Well, go back to the Bible. Let them trust the Bible. Once they trust the Bible, and when from the Bible they found out that to give is more blessing than to receive, and to give tithing is Christians' prerequisite. Once they're convinced of that, and once they have a taste of God's blessing after tithing, they begin to give. And this teaching, according to what Bible says, even though to start first, it's painful, but it's a growing pain. It's a growing pain. Even child, have a growing pain. That's right.